So, you decided to move to China? Here's the tip. In the last episode, if you haven't seen it yet, I told you where you should move in China. Now's the time for you to get to this awesome and amazing country. But what permits, what visas, what restrictions allow you an easy way to get into this awesome place? Well, we need to talk about getting your Chinese visa. There's many different kinds of visas. Today we're going to talk about the easiest way to get you a visa, what kind of visa you need, and what we can do to get you to this country, whether it's for travel, to move, or to open a business. Number one, do I need a visa to get into mainland China? Yes, and this includes Chinese territories such as Taiwan. Now, if you are from most countries, you need a visa to enter the country. Second question is, where should I apply for a Chinese visa? Most people will tell you there's only one way to do it, and that's to go to your local Chinese embassy. But there's actually two ways to do it, and we're going to talk about that. So the first way that you can do it is to go yourself to a Chinese embassy and figure it out there, do the paperwork, they'll guide you through it. And number two is to actually hire a courier to take your passport and papers to speed up the process of actually getting that visa. Number three, what type of visa should I apply for? Well, there's many different kinds of types of visas, and I'll go through them right now. The most common type of visa is called an L visa. An L visa is a tourist visa, and this allows you to come as a tourist. You can get a single entry, a double entry, or a multiple entry, meaning that you can come into the country and leave multiple times if you get a multiple entry visa. This is available for tourists, and they usually come between 30 and 60 days. Now, if you are a US passport holder, then you can have multiple entry for up to 10 years based on the new law. The next type of visa is called a business visa or an M visa. This is people who intend to come to China for trade activities or commercial activities. M visas are usually single entry, double entry, or multiple entry. An M visa can also be issued for up to 10 years as well. But if you're not on a US passport, it's between 30 and 60 days. Now, if you come here on an F visa, you will be on a non-commerce visa, meaning that you are not here to make money or to trade commercially. This is for research, lecture, scientific, natural things like this. If you come to China on this visa, you won't be allowed to make money or work here, but you will be allowed to do research and things of that nature. The most important visa we'll probably be talking about is the next one, the Z visa or Z visa, depending on where you're from. This is your work visa, and don't let anyone tell you differently. You cannot work in China without a Z visa or a residence permit. It's just not going to happen. So if you want to know the requirements of getting a Z visa and what things you need in terms of educational background, please check out Serpent Winston's video here. The next type of visa is a study visa, an X1 or an X2. These visas are issued to students. An X1 visa is for people who want to study for more than 6 months in China at a university or any sort of school, actually. An X2 visa is for people that want to study in China for a period of less than 6 months. An S1 visa is called a long-term visa, and this is a private visa. This is for people that want to visit family members. This is meant for people that want to stay in China for over 180 days and they're visiting someone in their family. This can be spouses, parents, sons or daughters, things of this nature. An S2 visa is the same thing except it's for a shorter period of time, between 30 and 90 days. US passport holders, again, get a 10-year visa for this as well. For people that have Chinese descendants or people that have spouses that are Chinese citizens, a husband or a wife, you can apply for a Q1 visa. This is another family member visa for people that have Chinese heritage and people that have been married to a Chinese person and they want to stay over 180 days. A Q2 visa is for the same thing, but it's for a shorter period of time. It's usually granted about 120 days of visit. And a C visa, a crew visa, if you come on a cruise ship or a airplane and you are working for either of those facilities, you are able to come on a C visa, and this includes family members of pilots and the people on the crew of the actual vehicle. A group visa is only granted to people that are in groups of 5 or more, and they can get a group visa quite easily if they are together in a large group. So now that you know the different kinds of visas, you probably have a better idea of what visa that you want to have. As a US citizen or a citizen of most foreign countries, and I say most foreign countries, if you're not from the US or from most first world countries, check out Winston's video here from his personal experiences of getting visas in China. As a US citizen or a member of a first world country, can I apply for a Chinese visa on port of entry. So when my plane lands, can I just get a visa there at the airport? No, you just can't do it. You must, and this is a new regulation, you must get a Chinese visa in your hometown, in the place that you live, in the country that you live. So there's no more visa runs across the border to Hong Kong anymore, although there's ways around it. Number 5, what documents do I need to bring for my visa in China? I'm gonna give you 2 examples today, okay? Some people don't live near a Chinese embassy or a place that they can actually get a Chinese visa in person. So there's actually a way around it. And although it's legally dubious, it usually works out for most people because there is a stipulation in the visa regulation that says you can trust someone to do the paperwork for you. Now, the legality of this, I'm not sure, but it does tend to work for most people. You can hire a courier service like mychinavisa.com, pandavisa.com. I'll give you a good list of ones that I know and people have used before to get their China visas. And they actually ship away their documents and everything is taken care of for them. But what documents do you actually need? Well, you'll need all these things when you go to the China visa office as well. So let's see what you need for a tourist visa. You're gonna need a Chinese visa application form. Now you can download these on the internet, fill them out before you go to the embassy or before you send off your documents. You're going to need your original passport with at least 1 year validity left on it because a lot of visas extend over 1 year, like a residence permit or a work visa. So you need at least 1 year left in your passport and it has to be signed. Don't forget to sign your passport. You need 1 passport type photograph, bring a couple just in case. White background. A lot of people like to make them themselves, but it's best to go get it professionally done. It just tends to work out a little better. A driver's license, because this is your form of ID back home. You're gonna have 2 forms of ID. I'm using driver's license as the easiest example. You can also use a gas or water bill that has your information on it as well if you don't have a driver's license. The next thing you need to bring is your itinerary. You need a copy of your round-trip airline tickets. No one-way tickets here. And you need to show where you're staying at least for the first part of your trip. So print out your receipt for a hotel, or at least make a booking. You don't need to pay for it necessarily. At least make a booking of a hotel, print it out, and get those copies of your plane tickets or whatever transportation you're using to come into China. Now, if you use one of these courier services, and I do recommend checking it out at least because it's a pretty good way if you don't live anywhere near a consulate. You can expect to pay around $150 at the time of this video shooting. $150 will get you the processing fee, the shipping, and all that good stuff, as long as you don't need to have it rushed. Now, one extra tip I'm gonna throw in here for you guys is the new law that says that you cannot get a visa within China. Now, I'm gonna come up with 2 scenarios here that might help you answer these questions and a little loophole that I had found before. Now, because you need to go to your home country's consulate to get your visa processed, how can you actually get a visa from a different country? Maybe you're in Thailand. If you have a place to stay for 1 or 2 weeks and you don't need to show your passport for anything, you could ship it off theoretically to one of these courier services, get it processed, and have it rushed back to you so that you could get your visa processed in your own country. Another situation is maybe you're already working in China, but your visa is about to expire. Well, we used to be able to go to Hong Kong and renew from there, not so anymore. But if you have a place to stay there, you can exploit the same loophole. Ship off to one of these couriers and get it processed in your home country and have it rushed back to you in Hong Kong. Question 6, how long should you begin this visa process before coming to China? I'd recommend a month, because worst case scenario, it can take up to a month to get all that processing done. But I've had it done in less than a week before, but it's very rare. 7 is, how long does it take to get my visa after submitting it? Well, if you're using a courier service, it's gonna take a bit longer. A rush service usually takes about 1 week. If you're at the physical consulate, you can say that you have an emergency and you need that visa process. That'll take between 2 and 3 days. But the normal one is 4 business days from the consulate. Number 8, can I apply for the visa by mail? No, the consulate will not accept the mail request, but these couriers do. I live too far away from the embassy or a consulate. How can I get my visa? Well, the consulate says that if you entrust someone to take all the responsibilities, you can have them apply for you. This actually falls under the whole trusting the courier services that I've been talking about. It's the same, this is the legal loophole about getting your visa without actually being at the consulate. Number 10, do I need to make an appointment to get my visa? No, you sure don't. You don't need to make an appointment. You can walk in to the consulate whenever the consulate is open. but I recommend you get there before 10:30 a.m. because it does get busy depending on where you are. Number 11 is, what does entries on the visa mean? Entries are how many times you can enter the country. So if you have a single entry tourist visa, that means you can only come into China once, and after you leave, you can't come back in. If you have a dual entry visa, you can come in, leave, go to Hong Kong or a different country, and then come back within that allotted time period. If you have a multiple entry visa, you can come in and out as many times as you want. If you're planning on going to Hong Kong or Southeast Asia or Macau or any of these countries nearby China, on your trip to China, a multiple entry visa is your best bet. And what does duration of stay mean? Well, that's how long you're actually allowed to stay in China, how many days. And when it is expired, on Beijing time of that day, you must leave the country. If you are not, you will be fined. What should foreign citizens know about China before coming here? Well, quite a bit. If you're coming here as a tourist, you're not going to have too difficult of a time other than the language barrier. A lot of our other videos cover this kind of stuff. You can see what to expect in China from our other videos here on YouTube. But for the most part, you will be okay coming here as a tourist. Now, if you want to know about what it's like to work here, stay tuned for the next videos and we'll tell you about what it's like to work here and how to get a job. And how do I read a visa correctly? Well, let's have a look. This is where your name goes. This is how long you can stay. This is the expiration date. This is the visa number. This is the type of visa that you have. And this is how many entries you have. Police Security Bureau. So there you have it. If you have not gotten the information that you wanted, me and Winston Serpenzia are working on these videos together just for you to make sure you can get to China, decide whether China is right for you, get over here to China, get a job, start a business, start a family, or do whatever you need to do. If this video is not enough for you, then check out his videos over here. He'll tell more personal-based experiences. And also, if you want to find out the qualifications and restrictions on work permits and work visas, Z or Z visas, check out his video as well.
For geography, you'll know that China is about the same size as the United States of America. Now, a country of this scale is obviously going to have
China. Now, maybe some of you have decided you want to visit just for tourism purposes. Maybe you've decided to come and do a gap year, or even settle down. Let's talk about China.